डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Welcome friends, warm welcome in today's session. Today for the particular course cyber security tools, techniques and countermeasure. In this session we are going to discuss regarding cyber security framework. I am Dr. Ajay Patel, working as an associate professor Ganpat University. In this session we will discuss regarding the cyber security measures and cyber security framework. Okay friend, so if we discuss, if we look at our today's learning plan or today's session outline, that means first of all we are going to discuss regarding the cyber security policy. After that we will discuss the cyber security regulation, and we will also cover the cyber security policy framework. So if we look closely regarding the learning outcome, so first of all we will discuss regarding the cyber security policy and framework, and about what is the framework or what is the importance of framework. After that we will discuss the compliance or the regulatory framework or regulatory system available in our country as well as in some other countries. And after that finally we will discuss regarding the component of the framework. So we will learn about the cyber security related framework, compliances and regulatory mechanism. So first of all friend, what is the policy? Because actually the cyber security framework is completely depend upon the cyber security policy. So first of all we need to understand what is the policy. So policy is a draft of the organization which contains organization's future vision for the particular domain or for the particular segment. For example, if any organization is preparing the policy for the expansion, that means this policy contains the detailing about the organization's expansion related set of action along with the measurable outcome. So this is the policy. Same as far as concerned with the cyber security policy. Cyber security policy for the business organization is to protect their asset and information system, and it also ensure about the legal and regulatory requirements. So in other words, if we look closely, the cyber security is a draft, cyber security policy is a draft for the particular organization in which it completely describes the organization vision to protect its cyber resources like IT infrastructure, software and other IT assets, as well as the information or data stored through the generated or we can say derived from the business processes, and it also ensures the protection of interest of organizations, various stakeholders like its consumer, its supplier or its associate. Apart from that, cyber security policy also emphasizes on the regulatory and legal compliance So, in other words, we can say the cyber security policy contains the complete detail regarding the organization's protect plan of their asset, IT infrastructure and cyberspace. Now, while we are discussing, it is a complete document or it contains the complete information regarding organization cyber security policy. So, we need to understand that it is not an overnight effort to derive the cyber security policy or to implement the cyber security policy is not an overnight effort. It to implement or to enforce the cyber security policy in a particular organization is a very systematic approach, and it requires various level of micro plannings, like from the if any organization management wants to implement cyber security policy in organization, at that time the initial point, the first task is research and planning. So, the management people needs to go through the detailed research, rigorous research and planning about the policy implementation. After that, the policy defines in that sense how the organization implement the policy, how it affects the existing business function, if any business process re-engineering is there or not. All these kind of details are being covered by the management in the cyber security policy. After that, because until unless all the employees and all the stakeholder accept it, without their acceptance it is not possible to effectively implement the policy. So, it is a 360-degree approach. So, in a second stage, organization management needs to educate the employee, after that to train the employee, and finally implementation is done. Even after the implementation, review, revision, there are several phases are there. So, this is the cyber security policy, and for the framework, for the cyber security framework, the cyber security policy is very important. Now, the cyber security regulation in India. So, regulation, that means the mechanism or the set of specification which provide certain guideline to organization or to individual how to deal with the cyber related issues, or how to form some preventative measures to deal with certain kind of cyber security related challenges. So, Government of India under the Ministry of Information Technology and Department of Electronics designated a nodal agency, and they also define the policy, National Cyber Security Policy, which came into existence 2013, and the milestone in this regard we can say Indian IT Act 2000, we, in other words, we also pronounce it as a cyber law in India, and in a same line in a 2008 the IT Act amendment. So, Indian IT Act and Indian IT Act amendment, both these are the law which is applicable in India for to deal with the cyber crime, or any organization who is having the cyber resources needs to follow the Indian IT Act 2000 and Indian IT Act amendment 2008. So, Indian IT Act covers the very large spectrum, like we can say large spectrum in the sense it also provides the mechanism, or it uh, defines the various kind of crimes which falls under the cyber crime. It also provides some guideline regarding the digital signature. Indian IT Act amendment provides the clear cut difference between digital signature and electronic signature. It also uh, guides regarding the uh, grievances redressal mechanism. Competent, it also empowers some authorities to deal for the particular issues. So, this is the complete draft which provides the guideline to citizen as well as business regarding the cyber crime. Apart from that, as part of national cyber security policy, Government of India had formed CERTIN. CERTIN, that means Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, a body which is designated to predict the upcoming challenges, define some proactive steps, provide some emergency response after the cyber attack, and after that this organization is also supposed to deal with some recovery mechanism after the cyber attack. So, this is the body who is responsible to deal with the cyber security emergency related situation. And the most important thing, because as well as whenever we are discussing the huge growth of the digital platform or wide acceptance of digital platform for the finance and banking industry, nowadays we can see the tremendous rise in a digital transaction. Either it may be a e-commerce, or it may be a online banking, or it may be some online service consumption. So, during all these business processes, the financial transactions are very important, and whenever the cyber security related financial disputes arise, at that time Reserve Bank of India, the final authority in field of finance is the Reserve Bank of India, and this RBI has issued the cyber security guideline, and which is mandatory for each and every financial institute. So, to comply the RBI cyber security related compliances are compulsory for the business house or financial institution, those who are dealing with their customer through the cyberspace. Now, if we look closely, the RBI says that the IT security policy is completely different for any organization than the cyber security policy of the organization. So, in a RBI guideline regarding the cyber security policy, RBI clearly, Reserve Bank of India clearly define certain steps which are required to follow. So, the first step is the current state assessment according to the RBI cyber security framework. Now, what is the current state assessment, or which are the steps required to follow for the current state assessment? So, for the current state assessment, any organization needs to identify their existing situation. They have to study in detail regarding their existing situation in terms of cyber security or cyber attack. So, for example, if particular bank is there and they are having the mobile banking facility, online banking facility at that time, and they are also core banking solution enabled, at that time they have to identify or they have to assess their current IT resources in terms of cyber security or cyber attack. So, they need to find out the possible breaches or the possible threats which might affect the organization IT infrastructure. So, in other words, we can say the current state assessment is very important for any organization to find out their current position or current situation to deal with the any unexpected cyber challenges. After that, the most important or the second stage is drafting of policies, procedure and implementation of cyber security control. Now, in this phase, the particular finance or particular financial business house needs to define the policy for the cyber security. After that, they are also required to define the procedures or to need to revise their procedure which can meet or which can fulfill the clauses or conditions mentioned into the policy of the cyber security. Now, after defining the procedure, that means after defining one-to-one action, the implementation phase comes. During the implementation, the management needs to ensure that each and every procedure is implemented successfully to cope up the cyber security policy. Even after the implementation, the 24/7 continuous monitoring is compulsory for any organization. So, the implementation and management cyber security operation cell. So, in that case, the designated team is to responsible to observe each and every minute to minute ongoing activity of the business house through the digital platform. So, they need to observe incoming traffic, they need to observe the financial transaction, they also need to observe the particular employees or customers behavior on a digital platform. So, these are the steps which are required under the implementation and management. Now, after that, the readiness check audit to make sure that RBI cyber security framework has been implemented, and this is the audit mechanism or the readiness check. So, once the policy is implemented and the entire business starts functioning according to the cyber security policy, the audit mechanism is equally important for the bank according to the RBI guideline, because during audit there are various parameters have been defined and each and every finance house needs to go through the audit and they have to find out their existing situation or their existing position according to the defined parameter. It is also called the audit. So, this is the policy. Now, National Cyber Security Policy 2013, as we discussed, it is the policy which is defined by the government. Now, Government of India has also implemented the Indian IT Act, and they later on they amended the Indian IT Act and provide the Indian IT Act amendment 2000 during 2008-9. Apart from that, Government of India is also issued National Cyber Security Policy during 2013, and the National Cyber Security Policy is a vision or is a roadmap for the citizen or for the business house of India, which indicates the government vision or government's we can say government's plan to cope up with the cyber security related challenges. So, the first in a national cyber security policy, if we closely look the main points of the national cyber security policy. So, first of all the government in a policy 2013 government complete clear and cut mentioned that they are going to set up National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. So, this is the organization which provides the protection of any government infrastructure in terms of cyber attack. So, to set up particular organization, or here we can say the National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. So, this is the center which is designated to provide safety or to protect the government's critical infrastructure against the cyber threat or cyber attacks. After that, because when we are discussing the huge growth of the digital and we are witnessing the huge growth of the digital platforms or acceptance of the digital transaction among the common man or among the citizen of India. Now, it is quite obvious that this tremendous growth also attract some vulnerabilities or attract the hackers, those who are intended for the malicious activity. So, to cope up with this kind of situation and to protect or to provide the protection against the hacker or malicious activities, government has also announced that they will prepare the skillful task force, those who can deal and who will fight against the cyber crime and will protect the cyber infrastructure in the country. So, this is the task force creation. After that, the most important scheme for the IT infrastructure upgradation. Now, because in India the IT use of the IT in a business had started from the 1990 to 2000. So, it was the decade from where Indian business house started adopting the IT infrastructure for their business. Now, all these, because these are the quite older infrastructure, so their vulnerability or their technical weakness are already exploited. So, any intruder can easily penetrate this kind of infrastructure. So, government decide and announce that they will handhold the organization and will provide some financial benefit and some other encouragement also. So, the organization's existing infrastructure can be upgraded. Then after, as we discussed, the designation of the certain emergency response center. Now, this body is empowered to deal with the cyber related challenges in a country. After that, another thing is the use of open standard for the cyber security. Now, there are various standards which are available, and for the particular business to business it may vary. So, there are lots of open standards are available, and during the national cyber security policy, government also announced that organizations will be insisted to adopt the open security standards. So, now this is the cyber security regulation in India, but if we look at a world level, so there are some another standards are also there, and this country are using this standard, like for the European Union. So European Parliament had accepted and had approved the European Union Agency for the Network and Information Security. Again, the European General Data Protection, to provide the security or to maintain the privacy of data, this regulation is important. Now, in a same line, because while we are discussing the open standard, the HIPAA compliance. HIPAA compliance is the acronym of Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Now, HIPAA was actually enacted in 1996 by the US government, and the main objective for the HIPAA was to provide the insurance cover for the person, those who have left the job. So, the main objective or the main intention was to provide the portability for the employees insurance, or we can say to provide the, later on it is also incorporated that to protect the individuals electronic personal health information. And in a HIPAA lots of penalty provisions are that. So, the huge penalty like 1.5 million penalty related provisions are there in a HIPAA compliance. Now, so what is considered protected health information? This is the most important thing. So, we can say the patient name, address, date of birth, social security number. In our country we can say Aadhaar card number, or individual's physical and mental health condition, and the treatment history, information concerning the payment for the care provided to individual, that identifies the patient, or information for which there is a reasonable basis to believe could be used to identify the patient. So, these kind of the information, apart from the personal information, treatment related information, are also important under the HIPAA compliance, and none of the organization who is having this kind of detail can disclose this information without the written consent of the patient. And if we look closely in the HIPAA, then HIPAA contains the 5 different sections. The first, Title 1, HIPAA Insurance Reform; second, HIPAA Administrative Simplification; third, Tax Related Health Provision; and Title 5, Revenue Offset. So, as far as concerned with the cyber security, for us the Title 2, HIPAA Administrative Simplification is very important, because as we know the portability is there. So, whenever one organization is providing or transferring patient's information to another organization, at that time the simplification is also important, and it should not be cost of the privacy of individual. Again, the next standard, ISO standard. So, ISMS family of the standard, or in other word we can say ISO 27K series, and this is specifically for the any organization while they are dealing with the IT resources or IT infrastructure. So, it is the information security standard, and it is published jointly by the International Organization for the Standardization and International Technical Commission. So, we can say let us sum up our today's session discussion. In that we discuss regarding the cyber security policy. Cyber security policy is nothing but the blueprint or roadmap for the any business house in terms of to protect their cyber space or their IT resources. After that, we also discuss the regulatory mechanism in our country as well as in the for the European Union, and we have also discussed about the HIPAA compliance and ISO standard. Okay friend, hope this session is fruitful for you. Thank you very much.